The newest leaked footage of Yu Menglong didn't just break the internet, it shattered every theory fans thought they understood. Because for the first time, the world finally saw what he'd been running from, and yet, somehow, that someone simply didn't show up in the mirror standing right beside them. The clip begins in a narrow corridor, dimly lit by failing fluorescent bulbs that buzz like old insects trapped in glass. The timestamp is fragmented, more broken than any of the previous recordings. It flickers between 23:59, midnight, 0:32, and then randomly blinks out altogether. The air feels heavy inside the scene, as if the video itself struggles under the weight of whatever was filmed that night. Menglong appears first, breathless, sprinting down the hallway in his white shirt, hair disheveled, palms out as if pushing away invisible walls. His expression is something fans have never seen before, not fear, but recognition, as if he knows exactly what hunts him. Then the camera angle shifts, flickering for a split second to a wider perspective, revealing a dark silhouette chasing him. A figure with long limbs, a tilted head, and an outline that jitters every time the frame tries to stabilize it. The shape moves without rhythm, skipping forward in sharp, unnatural motions like a corrupted GIF. It's quick. Too quick. Its feet hardly touch the floor. But the real nightmare begins when Menglong reaches the corner of the hallway, right in front of an enormous, wall-mounted mirror that reflects everything behind him. Everything, except the figure chasing him. The mirror shows Menglong's frantic face, his chest rising and falling, his hair plastered to his forehead. But behind him? Nothing. No shadow. No movement. No flicker. Just an empty corridor stretching behind him like a dark throat swallowing the light. And yet the original camera's perspective shows the figure only inches away, its hand nearly brushing Menglong's shoulder. The reflections, the footage, reality itself refuses to match. This single impossibility turned the internet upside down, but the rest of the video is even worse. Menglong, realizing he's at a dead end, spins around sharply, pressing his back against the cold mirror. His breath fogs the glass. His eyes dart left and right, searching for exits that don't exist. The silhouette stands before him, close now, 4 feet at most, swaying slightly like a puppet waiting for strings. But in the mirror? Still nothing. The mirror shows Menglong back first against its surface, alone, as though he is panicking at empty air. His own reflection looks terrified of a presence only the camera acknowledges. And then something happens that breaks every normal law of optics. Menglong's reflection starts reacting late. He gasps, but the reflection gasps half a second afterward. He clenches his fists, the reflection follows too slowly, like a delayed live stream. He steps forward, the reflection hesitates, then steps forward twice, catching up and overshooting the movement. The delay widens. The lag becomes disobedience. Soon the reflection isn't copying him at all. Fans paused, screenshot, enlarged, and enhanced the moment the reflection finally stares back at him with a different expression, an expression his real face isn't making. A twisted smile. Slow. Knowing. Wrong. And then something even stranger, the reflection's eyes shift, not toward him, but toward the figure that should be behind them. As if the reflection sees what the mirror refuses to show. At this moment, Menglong screams something, a short word, too distorted to hear, and lunges forward. The silhouette jerks sideways like a glitch, appearing instantly by the opposite wall, its shape blurring and sharpening with violent speed. Then the corridor lights dim to black for exactly 1 frame. 1 single frame. And when the lights return, everything has changed. Menglong is gone from the corridor entirely. The silhouette is gone too. But the mirror shows someone still standing there. Not Menglong. Not the silhouette. A third figure. A figure with a face partially resembling Menglong but sharper around the edges, like a drawing sketched over his features. Its eyes glow faintly, not with light but with static, the digital noise of a failing camera trapped inside something living. This figure tilts its head slowly, the movement synchronized with a new glitch in the footage, a soft drag of white noise that sounds almost like a breath. The reflection raises a hand and presses it against the mirror. The actual mirror in the footage remains untouched, smooth and undisturbed, but its reflection ripples as though pressed by a heavy palm. Then the footage jumps, no fade, no cut, just a skip. Suddenly we are positioned inside a stairwell, where Menglong is stumbling downward, gripping the rail so tightly his knuckles turn pale. He keeps looking over his shoulder, but there's nothing behind him. The silhouette reappears only in glimpses, caught in frames the camera probably wasn't supposed to capture. Sometimes it is at the bottom of the stairs. Sometimes the top. Sometimes both at once. And again, no reflection in the metal emergency panels. One frame even shows Menglong passing by a stainless steel fire extinguisher cabinet. His reflection appears, trembling, breathless, coherent. But behind him? Nothing. Just an empty stairwell despite the silhouette clearly being visible in the camera right behind his back. As Menglong reaches the landing between two floors, something slams loudly, a bone-shaking, metallic boom that echoes like a beast hitting the walls of a cage. The lights flicker again, dimming into a sickly green glow. Then the camera zooms sharply, not physically, but digitally, like someone forced the lens to focus on the ceiling without touching the equipment. The noise sharpens. The picture distorts. And the silhouette appears once more, this time crawling along the ceiling beams, limbs bending at angles no human joint should allow. But still, in the reflection-filled cabinet door right beside Menglong, the ceiling is empty. Menglong sees the reflection and freezes. He turns around slowly, expecting nothing, confused. The silhouette drops from above, but the mirror remains blank. Menglong stumbles backward and falls against the stairs, gripping his head like he's trying to squeeze a ringing sound out of his ears. The audio finally clarifies. Someone is whispering. Not Menglong. Not the silhouette. A third voice, smooth, calm, too close to the microphone. It whispers. Stop running. He needs you. The footage shakes violently as Menglong's body is yanked out of frame by something unseen. Not pulled by the silhouette, because the silhouette remains motionless in the corner, head slowly lifting, its pixelated eyes shining like corrupted glass. Then the mirror in the cabinet door cracks. Just a hairline fracture. Just enough to distort everything that comes next. And then the camera blacks out. But the final 5 seconds, recovered from corrupted footage, are the most disturbing. A close-up of the cracked mirror. Nothing else. Just the mirror, shaking slightly. The crack widens. Static gathers. And through the shattered reflection, a pair of eyes appears. Not Menglong's. Not human. The same eyes seen in previous episodes, the midnight visitor, the airport figure, the shadow behind him in the hotel, the double that stood behind him in footage no one could explain. A perfect merging of the lookalike and the shadow. The new presence says one line in a voice that sounds like Menglong's but layered with something deeper. He sees you watching. Then the video ends. Fans worldwide are convinced. Yu Menglong wasn't running from a person. He wasn't running from a stalker or intruder. He was running from a version of himself, or something that wears him like a mask, something that exists outside the rules of mirrors, reflections, and physics. Something that replaces him in rooms but leaves no shadow. Something that appears in footage but not in glass. Something that has been following him across hotels, airports, and hallways, waiting for the right moment to step fully into his place. And now, after the newest footage, the question is no longer what the figure is. It's how long it has been imitating him. And whether the real Yu Menglong is still running, or whether the reflection we saw in the final frame was the only one telling the truth. The leaked footage left fans shaken, but the continuation of that same clip, the part hidden from the public until now, is far more disturbing than anything previously revealed. Because the moment after Menglong vanished from the corridor, the camera captured something even experts can't explain, the mirror remaining active long after the hallway emptied, as if it were recording an entirely different timeline. It begins with a distant hum, a low vibration that rattles the frame. The corridor is still, yet the mirror flickers with faint movements, shapes brushing across its surface like shadows swimming beneath a frozen lake. The physical hallway stays empty, but the reflection shows activity, as though something lingers in that glass world long after it's left reality. Then, without warning, Menglong appears again, only in the mirror. Not the real one. Not the breathing, trembling, terrified actor who sprinted down the hallway seconds earlier. No, this version stands eerily calm inside the reflection, body perfectly still, head tilted slightly upward as if listening to something above him. His reflection eyes shimmer with the same unnatural static that fans recognized from the midnight visitor, the same electric noise that buzzed in the leaked elevator footage, the same flicker that distorted the airport hallway. This was not Yu Menglong. This was something wearing his shape. And outside the mirror, the real hallway, the camera catches sudden movement again. Menglong bursts back into frame, running from something we cannot fully see. His footsteps slam against the ground, echoing too loudly for a man his size. His breathing is frantic, he keeps glancing behind him at the invisible pursuer, but every time he looks, the camera's perspective reveals absolutely nothing. Still no shadow. Still no reflection. Still no visible figure. Yet Menglong reacts as though something is inches from him. He stumbles, grabs the wall for balance, and in a desperate panic, he presses himself against the mirror. For a split second, reflection and reality line up, his face in the glass perfectly aligned with his real one. Then the mirror's version begins to move independently. The reflection lifts its hand first, touching the glass gently, almost affectionately, while the real Menglong keeps his own hand trembling at his side. The mirror Menglong smiles, a slow, unnatural stretch of the mouth that doesn't match the terror etched across the real one's face. The two versions stare at each other for a heartbeat, until the real Menglong's attention snaps abruptly to the empty corridor. Something brushes past him. Something fast. The camera catches a blur, a smudged streak of darkness, moving behind him, too quick for shape or form. Menglong gasps and runs again, disappearing around the corner. But the reflection remains, still watching, still smiling, long after he's gone. And then the mirror Menglong speaks. His lips move almost lazily, the way someone might mouth words in a dream. But the audio that comes from the camera is sharp, crisp, and horrifyingly clear. He's running from the wrong one. The moment the reflection whispers this, the lights flicker violently, and the mirror image collapses into a smear of static before reassembling, not into Menglong, but into something malformed. A shape resembling him, but stretched, elongated, as if someone dragged his silhouette across the glass like wet ink. Meanwhile, the camera, finally regaining some clarity, follows the real Menglong's escape path. He's reached the fire exit, pushing the heavy door open with all his strength. The stairwell's emergency lights illuminate his face, revealing streaks of tears, sweat, and pure confusion. He shouts something, maybe a name, maybe a warning, but the audio crackles, fragments, and reshapes itself into static whispers. The same static that hid the midnight visitor's appearance. The same static that surrounded the lookalike. The same static embedded into the shadow in previous videos. Something is communicating. Not speaking, communicating. As Menglong begins to run down the stairs, another reflection appears, this time in the small metal panel of the emergency door. The reflection shows a figure directly behind him, a dark outline with Menglong's height and posture, but again, the real stairwell behind him is empty. But then something even more chilling happens. The reflection reaches out and touches his shoulder. And Menglong reacts instantly. He flinches violently, slamming into the rail, eyes widening in pure terror. But behind him, in the real stairwell, the space is empty. No hand touches him, no figure stands there. Yet his body clearly felt something. The reflection then turns its head toward the camera. Slowly. Deliberately. Like it knows the lens is watching. And then something impossible happens, something fans have highlighted thousands of times. The reflection steps out of alignment. It moves sideways while maintaining its mirrored perspective, no longer even pretending to follow the rules of physics or geometry. It drags itself across the surface of the door's metal like a smear of walking shadow. And when it reaches the edge of the panel, it stops. Because the real Menglong stops. Dead still. As if something has whispered directly into his ear. The audio spikes, first with digital noise, then with a voice that is neither human nor machine. Stay still. He cannot find you when you don't move. The voice echoes for a moment, repeating itself in delayed, overlapping tones, like three versions of the same voice speaking out of sync. Menglong's body trembles violently, but he obeys. The camera zooms in on his face involuntarily, another glitch, another distortion. His pupils dilate. His lips shake. His breathing slows to shallow, terrified puffs. Then the silhouette finally appears. Not in the mirror. Not in reflections. But in the real stairwell, manifesting as a ripple in the air, like heat rising from asphalt. Slowly it forms a shape, tall, distorted, head-shaped like his own but stretched taller. It steps toward him. The mirror still shows nothing. Menglong takes a slow step back. The silhouette matches. Menglong whispers something frantic. The silhouette tilts its head. But the mirror behind him, for the first time, begins to show a faint shimmer. And in that shimmer, the shape resolves into the midnight visitor. Same height. Same posture. Same soft glow around the edges. But now with one horrifying difference. Its face is finally visible. It is not Menglong's face. It is not a stranger's face. It is a face with no features. Just a smooth surface where eyes and mouth should be. A canvas ready to copy whatever it needs. The mirror version lifts its hand. The real silhouette lifts its hand. Menglong freezes between both. The reflection whispers. Choose. The silhouette hisses. Run. And the camera cuts out.